everybody, and happy Mental Health Monday. So today I'm going to start in a place that's going to seem very different from where we're going to end up, but just stick with me and I think you'll see the connections. So as many of you will know, I do coffee enemas regularly. I still do them. I did them every day for like at least a year probably. And then I went down to like a few a week, and now I do 2 a week as maintenance. So I've gotten pretty good at them and good at, dealing with the various uncomfortable sensations that can sometimes come along when you're doing them, because you're having to hold in coffee and your body does not want to hold in that coffee. And so there's a lot of, and also coffee, just the enema itself causes contractions, but the coffee as well. And we all know, that coffee is stimulating to the bowels. And it's one of the reasons why coffee enemas are so helpful, because it helps to clean out everything that's in there. But the contractions that happen, I haven't had a baby, but I assume it's sort of like a similar like need to push, and I was doing a coffee enema last week, and there was this this fighting that was going on. Part of me is trying to hold in the coffee, and then the other part, wants to release it. And I don't know why I did this or how it occurred to me, but I guess I just recognized that push and pull that was happening. And instead of continuing to have these two forces, the one pushing the coffee out and the one trying to keep the coffee in, having them continuing to push against each other, I just kind of relaxed as much as you can with an enema, and just kind of like released the contractions. So stopped the pushing as much as possible while maintaining the holding. And this really interesting thing happened, that it just became so much easier to hold the coffee in. It was no longer, and it doesn't, I've tried it each time now, and it doesn't always work. But it always decreases the like discomfort. So instead of trying to like fight against that discomfort and push against it and hold against it in the other 2 different directions, I just kind of like relaxed and released and let it go as much as I could, like really actively tried to relax those muscles that were contracting to try to push it out. And yeah, this really wonderful sort of like peace, I guess, like physical peace in my intestines happened, where it wasn't, my body wasn't fighting against its 2 opposing impulses anymore. And it's sort of really, you're probably wondering, why the heck is she talking about this on a Mental Health Monday? But it really sort of reminded me of cancer and the beginning stages of a cancer diagnosis, and the beginning part of this journey, where we like tense for a fight right away. And the reaction to discomfort often is this tensing, instead of sort of the relaxing and releasing and letting it kind of go with the flow, instead of fighting against it. And at the beginning, that tension, that fight, I've talked about that, warrior mentality before, and definitely that tension, it can be helpful. Because we have so many things to deal with just practically at the beginning of a diagnosis, but also so many emotions, so many thoughts. And it's literally, I don't think anyway, that it is literally possible to deal with all of that at once. And so our body and our mind start, putting up these walls, these compartments to sort of keep things at bay or separated until we have the energy and the ability to deal with them in a proper way, in a healthy way. And I kind of talked about it in that Releasing Resentments Mental Health Monday video or series that I did. And that tension, that resentment, that anger, whatever it is you're feeling at the beginning, it can create a really helpful wall, as I said, to sort of keep things at bay until we're either ready to look at them, or just like mentally and emotionally, or until we actually have the time and energy to look at those things and deal with them. Because I know for me anyway, I prioritized my physical healing and what I needed to do on a physical level first. And I wasn't ready yet to look at the mental and emotional aspects of my diagnosis, both the mental and emotional issues and feelings and fears and all of that the diagnosis itself created, but also at the mental and emotional aspects of what led to my diagnosis in the first place. So things like way too much stress and past traumas that I hadn't healed, forgiveness that I hadn't given, forgiveness I hadn't asked for yet and needed to. So these were all things that would eventually play a role in my healing, but that I wasn't ready to look at yet for a myriad of reasons, because I had all my time and energy was going to my physical healing, but also I just wasn't quite ready mentally and emotionally yet to kind of crack that open. So that tension, that resisting, for me anyway, it was a survival mechanism or a protection, I suppose, that my heart and my mind put up until I was ready to deal with those things and take that tension away. But when we are ready for it, instead of continuing to fight against that tension, having that tension pushing from one side and having you holding back against it from the other side, like in my coffee enema example, if we can release and relax and open up, it can really, really help us on healing on the mental and the emotional levels. Because that discomfort is pointing to something that we need to look at. For example, so you could ask yourself, where is that discomfort coming from? Why am I feeling it now? What has triggered it? What do I potentially need to look at or address that I wouldn't have known I needed to look at or address without that discomfort sort of alerting me to it? Because like I said before, that tension around those things that I found uncomfortable, that tension was there because I wasn't ready to look at those things yet. But once I was, and I noticed that discomfort, and I noticed the tension that was surrounding that discomfort, this is what I noticed first, honestly, that alerted me to the fact that there was something there that needed addressing. And then that's what started me looking at and exploring the mental and emotional aspects of my healing, and then eventually the spiritual parts of my healing as well, once the physical healing was underway. So recognizing that tension and taking a look at the discomfort that it's potentially, that your mind and your emotions are trying to protect you from by throwing up that tension. That can be a really great way to discover some of the areas that you need to look at and address with your mental and your emotional healing as well. And so for me, once I was able to release that, to start releasing, because it's a process, of course, but as soon as I was able to start releasing that tension, that anger, that resentment, and I talked about that process in the Releasing Resentments vlog. If you haven't seen that yet, I've mentioned it a couple times now, so if you haven't seen it yet, I'll put the links for that series down in the video notes if you're looking for it. But yeah, once I was able to start releasing that resentment and that tension, then gratitude really started flowing in to fill those empty spaces. And what that led to was, as I've talked about before, just more positivity and more confidence in myself and what I was doing to heal. It just led to me feeling that way a lot more of the time. And once that started happening, once I started feeling that positivity and that confidence more of the time, it didn't seem as scary to look at those parts of my healing, the mental and the emotional aspects. It didn't seem quite so scary to look at those, to sort of relax that tension and examine that discomfort and get in there and explore what was going on, and to really think about what are the things that have happened to me in my life that I may be trying to protect myself from, but that really that protection is not going to serve me in the long run. It's really just going to prevent me from dealing effectively with these things and healing these things. So as soon as I was able to do that, to take away the tension and the discomfort and the fear around these things that needed healing, then I was really able just to open up, release, relax, and heal on much deeper levels, on multiple levels, not just the physical anymore, but the mental and the emotional as well. And then, as I said, eventually the spiritual too. And it reminds me of the Einstein quote where he said that you can look at life in two ways. You can look at it as nothing is a miracle, or that everything is a miracle. And for me, this goes hand in hand with gratitude, because in my experience, making a miracle or recognizing the miracles around you is about feeling gratitude and finding the things to be grateful for, even in the midst of challenging, difficult, scary things that you would rather not do, like cancer, like going through cancer. And I've spoken about it before, but it was that gratitude, recognizing the miracles, recognizing the growth, the learning, the positives, that really had the most profound effect on me during my healing. It's the thing that affected me 100% the most, and it's the thing that has continued to affect my life and the way that I approach it now. It's the thing that has continued to affect my life in the most, in the strongest way, in the most recognizable way, in the most profound way. And, you know, like it is a miracle that I am still alive today. It is a miracle that I am as healthy as I am. It is a miracle that I have a body that works, that can take me from point A to point B, and that nothing has happened in 32 years of life to permanently change that. It's a miracle I have food to eat and water to drink and air to breathe. It's a miracle that I have people who love me. It's a miracle that I opened my eyes this morning and get to experience another day on earth. It's a miracle that I have beautiful trees and flowers outside my window that I can look at every day or whenever I want to. It's a miracle that cancer motivated me to do some pretty incredible things so far in my life after cancer. And yes, it is not always going to feel that way. We are not always going to be able to focus on the positive and to find the light and the positives and the miracles. But the more we make an effort, a conscious effort, to focus our attention and our energy on the things that are positive, then everything starts looking like a miracle. If instead, we choose to write things off as coincidence or focus on the more negative things that are going on around us, the things we wish weren't happening, or even the negative aspects of something that also has positives. If we just choose to focus on those negatives and put all of our time and attention and energy on them, then nothing looks like a miracle. Either nothing is a miracle or everything is a miracle. And choosing to see everything as a miracle includes the challenges, the obstacles, the huge mountains that seem impossible to climb, because those experiences in our life, and then choosing to look at those experiences in a positive way, those are the things in our life that make clear all the other miracles that are going on around and within us. So when you are ready, when your heart is ready, when your mind is ready, release that tension. Stop fighting against it. And let that discomfort in. Let yourself feel it. Let it guide you to the parts of your history that need some healing, that need some love, that needs some looking at, that needs some exploration. And then try as much as possible to see things as a miracle, to focus on the positives, because doing that digging, doing that work on the mental and the emotional aspects of our healing, that is what I promise is just going to crack your heart open and change your perspective on cancer, on this whole journey, or any like massive difficult challenge, because you'll start to recognize that going through this really difficult thing is what allowed you to become who you are now, is what allowed you to heal these things that you've been carrying around with you for decades, maybe your whole life, is what has allowed you to grow and get better and change your perspectives and really thrive after cancer. So I hope that resonated with you guys. I hope the connection between my coffee enemas at the beginning and fighting that tension, that discomfort, I hope the connection was clear between, releasing that tension and opening up and being able to see miracles all around. I hope that connection was clear. I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful rest of your Monday. As always, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you check out all of the other videos in the Mental Health Monday playlist, or the meditation playlist, or the EFT tapping playlist, whatever you're looking for today. And I will see you back here next week for another Mental Health Monday. Happy healing.